Hello, welcome to Football Fans Tactics. Premier League clubs scout each other incredibly efficiently, so there is a need for coaches to find new formulas going into the season or risk being predictable. The two games played have provided us with an overview of some teams' tactics. These are some of the tactical trends we expect to see during this Premier League campaign. This concept of having two players high and two deep in a narrow midfield is a familiar style to many. The most common way to form this is one defender moving up to form a double pivot combined with the attacking midfielders or a striker dropping back to the center to collect the ball in a 4-3-3 formation. The Premier League's top teams make up their midfield box slightly differently. At Manchester City, this has been centre-back John Stones pairing with Rodri when City builds play, with two more advanced midfielders ahead of them. This positioning of more players in the middle of the pitch narrows the defending team, leaving the winger isolated against his full-back. Wingers who receive passes from a full-back standing in midfield will also be facing the play, rather than having their back to the goal. Before speaking about Guardiola, at the time I'm making this video he is undergoing surgery. We wish him a quick recovery. Back to the video. Guardiola has been the reference point for tactical trends over the past decade, but the City manager has found himself studying, and marveling at, Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton. Whereas Guardiola and his disciples have encouraged their players to carry the ball into space if opponents drop off, De Zerbi's players will pause and wait for an opponent to close them down. The idea is to entice pressure, before passing and moving into the space created with third-man combinations. Once the press is broken, Brighton attacks with speed and purpose through their wingers Kaoru Mitoma and Solly March. These moves have the appearance of counterattacks, but Brighton constructs them through their build-up play. The approach is not always enthralling to watch, with a game of chicken resulting as Brighton's defenders stand with their studs on the ball. Though devastating when well executed, it can lead to matches having a stop-start rhythm. The advantage of this style, where you counterattack from building up, is that even if the opposition decides not to press, then Brighton will now have control over the game and dictate through the 90. Unlike the number 10 role, which diminished miserably with likes of Ozil and Rodriguez not able to play as an 8, man up top didn't finish when coaches invented the false 9 role. Last season Haaland destroyed teams by manning up with opposition centre-backs. Teams like Nottingham Forest doing well by depending on their main man up front. Doesn't matter if he will get the ball through a short pass or long so long as he gets it. Now teams have bought main strikers like the likes of Man United. Traditionally fullbacks were converted to wingers. They would fly forward on the overlap on the outside of their winger. But now, one inverts in the center, and the other one remains as a center-back to make 3 defenders. More top teams use this approach now, like Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal place Walker, Robertson, and White fullbacks as defenders respectively. Coaches have seen the value of the defensive fullback. Another approach is that one can overlap, the other remains as a center-back. A good example is Newcastle using Trippier to overlap due to his dangerous crosses while Burn remains. With newly appointed managers, some of whom we are familiar with, we expect new tactics on board. And if any tactic arises, we will inform you. Subscribe and comment below to get more of this content. Adios.